What's up guys, my name is Luke from Archer & Wood, style consultancy and Priya Menswear store. It's Monday mailbag time where I answer your style questions. So over the past week, I've compiled your questions that I received from YouTube comments, Instagram, TikTok, email, in the hope of answering your clothing conundrums. I mean, they could be about clothes, they could be about anything really, YouTube, style, accessories, anything at all. But before we get into it guys, I'd just like to ask if you do like the video, if you could like to subscribe because it really helps me grow the channel. We've been making videos almost every day of the week, so regular content, and your support is really helpful. So yeah, if you can like and subscribe, that'd be great. If you are interested in pre-owned menswear as well, do check out our store archerandwoods.com for pre-owned menswear and vintage watches. We've got loads of good stuff in, a couple of really nice blazers from Drake's this week. We've got some trousers from Marnie, which I really like. And yeah, a couple of really nice pieces that have just come through and more to come. But yeah, check out archerandwoods.com for that. Anyway, let's get into the questions. So the first one we have is from Ian Harris, and that was a YouTube comment. And so yeah, let's have a look. Hello, commented on a few of your videos, recognizing the great content you're producing. Thank you, Ian, that's really nice to hear. My question or challenge as such is how to be stylish in rain. So much imagery, content captures are on beautiful days in glorious locations, which, as we know, is not reflected of so many of us. The impact of changeable weather on sartorial choices is a pain long felt. Any advice appreciated? So yeah, living in London, this is a question that I am all too familiar with. In London, the weather will change 4 times a day, so you have to be prepared for rain and you have to prepare for it in the way you dress. So there's a few things you can do to keep in mind. That we know the obvious one is have an umbrella with you. It's the most simple and easy thing to do. Personally, I like to choose the most compact one, and like you can get from like Boots, I think they're a good one. It's like literally that big, you can stuff it in your pocket and that helps you out a fair bit, but that's surface level stuff. Because for me, in the way I think, when it rains, I don't want to be particularly, and this is just, I know this changes for different people, but for me personally, when it rains, I don't want to be dressed in summer attire. I don't want to be dressed in big, bright, bold colours. I like the idea of not feeling out of place in my surroundings. When it's rainy, it's gloomy outside, I don't want to be dressed like I should be in Spain. Obviously, planning ahead is one thing, checking the weather on your app, and then I would decide if it's like a day where it's probably going to rain, is keep the colours at a relatively toned down level is one. Like you're saying, so many of these images we see are in like beautiful locations and stuff. And a lot of reasons why that work is for that exact reason, because they look in the right place. But to have a photo of someone in really nice summery clothes and they're in a nasty, cloudy environment, it just would look off. And that's the same in real life as well. It just looks a little bit off. So the colours are the main one. Simple ones are just toning down the colour palette a little bit and not going for like bright, bold yellows and pastels and things like that. Keeping it toned down, earth tones, I'd always say. But yeah, so that goes with wearing light colours. You don't want to get it dirty and it shows. So if you're wearing a nice cream blazer, you don't want that to be rained on, because rain contains dirt. You've got to think about your trousers as well, getting mud on your shoes and trousers. Yeah, colour's the main thing. So the next thing that brings me on to is the materials. Obviously, if you're wearing something like suede, you have to be a little bit more careful. I personally don't mind wearing suede out and about if it gets a bit rained on. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's stronger than you actually think. I do wear protection spray with it. I've done videos about this in the past on suede protection, so that's definitely something I would use. But if you know it's going to be a torrential downpouring for the day, then maybe you want to go for the leather loafer rather than the suede loafer. I think if you get the colours toned down, you don't have to worry that much. So as long as you're not wearing anything that's too valuable to get rained on, obviously. So I don't mind wearing like a linen overshirt in the rain if it's in the navy, because it's in keeping with the surrounding, the colours and the aesthetics. The actual material doesn't matter that much. If it's warm outside but it's raining, linen is absolutely fine. It's just really protecting the more delicate stuff, maybe like a suede, if you're concerned about that kind of thing. The next thing you want to consider is like having a raincoat. If it's one of the more warmer months, just something you can put over the top if you're caught in the rain, just to keep everything protected. If we're talking about being stylish and looking good in the rain, this is something where people neglect on. They go for the cheap and cheerful option because they're not going to use it that much. But actually, this is the sort of thing that you probably should invest in. Something that looks good and is functional at the same time, so you're not diminishing your outfit and your look overall once you have to put it on. So that's something to consider. It's similar with the umbrella as well. I'm not too fussed about having a crappy umbrella as long as it can fit in my pocket, but some people would prefer to have a nicer umbrella. It's completely up to your decision. I would rather go for the more nice sort of overcoat. I've got like a Mac from Sandro that I bought recently, which I really love. And yeah, just having something prepared that for this weather that you actually like the look of is really important. And I think a key with that as well is making sure the colour of that works with the items you've got. That's why I always go for something more earth tony. This is an item you're going to have just in case it rains. So make sure that colour of that works with the rest of your wardrobe. This is why earth tones work so well. You can pair them with each other and swap them out. So for me, I just have a simple navy one that I can bring with me if I think it's going to rain and I don't want to think about the rest of the outfit too much. So the next one is shoe choice. Now we spoke about materials and that kind of thing. But if you're really concerned about where you're going, say it's something particularly muddy, you might just want to have something a bit more robust that can deal with that. That also looks good with whatever you're planning to pair with it. Just in my mind, I've got a really nice pair of welted rubber-soled Oxfords that I'd wear. So if it was something particularly rainy and nasty outside but lots of puddles, I would wear those probably if I was wearing like a suit or something like that. If it's mud that you're particularly worried about, I would definitely steer away from the suede. But anything which is more robust, leather is always going to work. Leather's always going to be a nice thing. Just make sure you take care of them. And then once you're done wearing them, don't just leave them. Just give them a bit of a clean up as well. So that's another thing, looking after your footwear once you're done with them. A bit of a tip of mine, which I go if I'm going out for an evening and I know I'm going to be potentially caught in the rain, I don't have an umbrella on me, is I will take a little bit of hair product with me. I like get a little tiny tub you can get from the chemist, put some product in there just in case you get caught in the rain and you need it later on. So that's something I do as well. Lastly, is one of my favorite things about buying pre-owned is you don't have to worry about it too much. If you're wearing a suit from say Drake's and it costs you £1,500 and it's fresh, it's new, you're going to be a little bit more careful with it, and you're definitely going to be a bit more bummed out if you get it all messed up in the rain. Whereas if you get caught in the rain and it's with a second-hand suit and it's cost you about £500, the bummed out factor drops significantly. You really don't care that much. And I find that with my stuff as well. Even with like suede stuff that I go out in the rain with, you go out with this air of protection that you just have mentally. You don't care that much. And obviously you want to look after your clothes, obviously, but they're there to be worn. And if you've looked after them to the point of like protection spray and you're not just being completely loose with it, you're just going swimming in a river with it, you should absolutely be fine. These clothes are there to be worn. Even if you were to buy it new, it should be absolutely fine. You can always get it dry cleaned. It'll be absolutely fine. But just for your own mental well-being, having something that's pre-owned, costs significantly less than it would do new, is a real comfort when you're going out in the rain. So yeah, that's another thing buying pre-owned is really good for. But I think ultimately for your question, actually looking stylish in the rain, it's colour and materials, and then just being confident to wear it and not worry too much. On to the next one from Sasha. Hey Luke, love your videos, man. Thank you very much. I wanted to say that you should do a video on organising men's wardrobes or advice you'd give on that topic. I would really love to see that, as I am having trouble organising my own wardrobe. Thank you. Yeah, this is a really important one. It's something I struggle with a lot because obviously I've got stuff in the store that when it's out of storage, it goes into the wardrobe. But also, it is hard. Wardrobe space, depending on where you live in the world, in London, it's small. So the first thing I'll do is get in your head what you'd need seasonally. Get those vacuum bags that you see on the internet. I think you can get them on Amazon for super cheap, where you put your clothes in, you can vacuum pack it and it just tightens up, and then you can store them away somewhere else. So when it's summer, get all the knitwear, all the heavy stuff out, take it out, vacuum pack it if you can and put it away, as long as you've got the space, obviously. But the benefits of that for two reasons. Obviously, you have more space if you're just rotating the sort of summer and winter clothes out. You're gonna have more space in the wardrobe to fit stuff in. Goes without saying. And second is in terms of choosing your outfits. So there's nothing worse than having a completely overpacked wardrobe when you're in a rush and you're trying to get together a nice outfit, and then you're just lost. There's too many options. It's the summer, you're pulling through knitwear and things that you just would not wear at that time of year and won't do for maybe a few months. And then you make a mess, you get frustrated, and it's the worst. So doing that seasonally is really important. And then it's important in your own mind as well that you don't overstock it with new stuff. So if you're looking at your wardrobe and there's stuff you haven't worn for, say, 3 months or so people have differing sort of time scales in this, but if there's something you haven't worn for 3 months, maybe it's time to either donate it to somewhere else, sell it on eBay, or if it's really gross, chuck it. So getting rid of all the sort of noise in your wardrobe is absolutely key. Then you can get your mind right in what you're looking for. What I then do is separate items into, say, shirts, t-shirts, denim, trousers, suits. So like sections. Obviously you can do it in any way that works in your own mind, but getting things in their own sections works. If you're really OCD about it, colours as well. So I'm not too particular with that kind of things. I keep lights and darks. That's about it, all I'm doing. I'm not going to put things into a really nice colour pattern. I'm too hectic and it just wouldn't work for me. So they're the main things. Having a separate area for your shoes as well, also really important. And then when you're hanging up stuff from the washing, say shirts and stuff, giving them a steam before you put them up as well is a good one, because sometimes I get really put off. If I've got a shirt in there and I have to steam it, I don't have the time or just can't be bothered, then I just won't wear it. So that piece will just stay there for ages. So either setting a day aside where you're going to go for your steaming or ironing, or doing it as you go. So once you've done some washing, do the steaming, do the ironing, then put it away. I think that's really important, because definitely I've fallen into that trap where I just choose the one that's less creased over the one that's creased all the time, and then this piece just gets neglected and I'm not really wearing the item that I want. So that's a really important one for me. If you're into tailoring and you've got your suits there, make sure you give them enough room to breathe. You don't want to be dry cleaning your suits too often. Twice a year is like the recommended amount. Give them that space so they can hang, they can air out, and they can clean naturally. And so having that space there is really important as well. If you've got space and an additional sort of like rail like this, that's really helpful, because also what I use this for putting out stuff for videos and things like that, but also if I've got an outfit in mind, I'll put it there for the next day. So just a bit of preparation. It just depends how your mind works, depends what works for you in your day-to-day life. Ultimately, it's decluttering and keeping things super simple as possible. Right, on to the last question. We've got this comment that was on a video I did about my pre-owned fragrances I buy online. So I'll put a link in the description, but basically I have been buying aftershaves online that are like either like half-used bottles or near full bottles, and just buying them from there, and it's really worked well with me. You get a much lower cost, and you get to try out things that maybe you wouldn't have gone for the full price. And the question is, great video, how do you know you are getting the real deal when buying online and not fake? Any tips? The biggest tip, and this goes for absolutely anything when you're buying, is you're buying the buyer first of all. If you're buying on eBay, obviously reviews are there for a reason, so you have a look at them. If you're buying anywhere else, it's the same. If you know the person that you're buying from, if you're concerned about that kind of thing, if there's a high rate of fake items, then you've got to be looking at the person you're buying from and seeing if they're a reputable person, really. So that's the main one, is look who you're buying from. There's the other tip then would be, if it's eBay specifically, if it's like an online marketplace like eBay specifically, have a look at their other items they're selling as well. If they're selling like 10 of these same items, it's a little bit fishy for me. It's like, where have they got this from? Why are they selling it? If it's just a one-off aftershave and they're selling all sort of random stuff, then you're probably safe. But if they're selling multiples of them, if they look like a mass seller of fragrances, then something's a bit up. So just look into it further. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be fake, but still, it's a red flag to look into. So the other thing I would definitely recommend, and I do this all the time, is go to somewhere that sells the aftershave that you want, smell it, get to know it, just so when it arrives and you've bought one, you've got the right thing. So you can get those little paper things that you spray it on, keep that, do a check, maybe even put it on you, then go to the store, check afterwards you got it. If you're really concerned about it, make sure, or in your own mind, that you've got the right thing. If you haven't, if you bought on eBay especially, and if you bought anywhere, if the item arrives that isn't as listed, you can refund it. So eBay gives you like 30 days to raise a claim, I think, or something like that. So if it's fake, you should get a refund. So you are protected in that way. So yeah, they're the main things. Ultimately, there's a little bit of trust that gets placed when you're doing this, but you can only do as much homework yourself as you can. If you do that, you should be confident you're going to get the right thing. Okay guys, that was the questions for the week. Thank you for everyone that sent them in. I've still got a few that I'm going for on a little bit of a backlog, so if you've asked one, hopefully get around to it soon. If you have any questions yourself, leave a comment here. On this video would be the main place I'd look for, but do send one on Instagram on a DM, or leave it on another video. I'll get around to it. Thank you for watching, guys. Please remember to like and subscribe, because it really helps me out. Check out aWelcome for pre-owned menswear. And if you're interested in style consultancy as well, I offer anything from like just an online one-on-one session to like a full in-person styling service. So yeah, check out aWelcome.com for that. And yeah, thank you for watching, guys, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Cheers.